How's it going, everyone? I hope you had a good Christmas and a good New Year's. It's been a long time since I made a video. So today I wanted to talk about the mindset that builds discipline and the main principles that go behind building that kind of structure. It's, I think, a good subject to talk about is boxing. I wish I started doing this years ago. I mean, I've only just been doing it a year and I'm not good whatsoever. It's took me such a long time to learn the pads, to learn some movement stuff, and I'm always gassing out at like round 4 and 5. I mean, my coach pushes me to like round 10, but even that, then I'm just absolutely exhausted afterwards. You know, in short, discipline is the ability to do what must be done, even when you don't feel like it, because it aligns with who you choose to be and where you're going. So, for example, discipline is consistency under discomfort. So, you know, so let's break down what discipline is. So, you know, there's a few examples I could use. So, you know, example 1, discipline is consistency under discomfort. So it's easy to act when, you know, the weather's nice, you've slept your full 8 to 10 hours, you know, you've had your 4 or 5 meals in the day, you've had your fruits and vegetables, you know, so on and so forth. Discipline is when you show up when it's hard, boring or inconvenient. So, you know, you've not slept, you've had a shit night's sleep, you've not had your 4 to 5 meals, you've not had your fruit and veg throughout the day, you've not had your, 3 or 4 litres of water. Another core principle to discipline is choosing long-term gain over short-term comfort and keeping promises to yourself. So, you know, what does that mean? Let's break it down. So, you know, your friends ask you to go for a night out Friday or Saturday night. You know, you choose to stay in, you choose to go to the gym instead, or you choose to study. You know, it also means keeping promises to yourself as well. So, for example, you know, you promise yourself tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. you're going to wake up and go to the gym, or you're going to go for that run, or you're going to read 10 pages of that book. You know, every time that you break a promise to yourself, it just weakens your own ability to do something the next day because you just lack on it the day before. You know, that, you know, you keep saying, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow, and then tomorrow never comes around because you're always pushing it. You're always pushing it to the next day, you know, next week, you know, next month. A lot of people see discipline as a restriction. You know, you might go out somewhere, you know, you might be training hard, you might have a show coming up or a competition. You know, people might say, why do you take it so seriously? Or why do you spend so much time in the gym? Or why do you read so many books? Well, you know, discipline is that freedom that gives you control over your body, your time and your future. So, you know, the hours that you put in today will reflect that patience that you have shown throughout the whole process. You know, it's easy to not have patience. You know, it's easy, you want to jump into something the hard end, but sometimes you have to climb the ladder first in order to learn, you know, them techniques or them strategies that go behind it. The fourth point I want to get to is, you know, people might confuse motivation and discipline. You know, discipline is an identity and a motivation is an emotion. So, you know, for example, you might, tomorrow you might have ordered some new boxing gloves, or you got yourself some new hand wraps, or you got yourself some new trainers for the gym. You know, that will get you fired up and get you ready. You know, but that's going to fade over time. You know, when the winter comes, or your shoes are gone, you know, you busted your shoes a bit, or your hand wraps are worn, your boxing gloves have got a bit bloody, you know, that motivation's going to fade. But discipline, you know, stays because it's based on your own standards and not feelings of others. In short, discipline is doing the right thing at the right time, whether you feel like it or not. You know, your car might have broke down, your wife or your girlfriend might have broken up with you. You know, you got bills to pay. You know, your fridge is broke, your ovens, you know, it's all gone wrong, you know, but you still turn up to the gym and show up for yourself. That is what discipline is, you know. The last thing I wanted to talk about before I go is, you know, there's people out there that struggle with discipline, you know, struggle with motivation, and it is a hard thing. You know, if you see them people that make them results every day, you know, they are ruthless people. They're in the gym every day. That's all they can focus on is them winning, coming first place. You know, that's all they can think about. And if you struggle with trying to find the motivation or slash the discipline to get in there and do something, you know, just write yourself a list every day of 3 things that you must do. You know, I must go for a 5k run, I must have a healthy meal, I must read 10 pages of a book. You know, it seems pretty minute, but if you start doing them things every day, them 3 things every day, you then think, oh, I can do a 4th thing, or
backhand, good, and away. 2 hook turn, straight on that, push jab, hand on that, the other way, centre, go. Nice, loose, and jab. Good, loose, 1, 2, backhand, jab, jab, to the backhand, good, and away. 2 hook turn, straight on that, push jab, hand on that, the other way, centre, go. Push, good, and again, round the outside. That's the one. I went one way and the other. 1, 2. I'm going to fire off the jab. I don't. See you later.